what it's designed to do is hit their third gas early. Like it's still helping because I have all these medic marines out and I can deal with his early lurkers. And now he runs his Mutalisks and he tries to do some sort of pincer, but I get some hits off on his Mutalisks, and now I'm still maintaining 2 control groups of medic marines, even though he's powering tech out of 2 bases right now. And like you see, my micro's been pretty decent, and I have a lot of money right now, but that's because my science facility just finishes. Like right when that kicks in, you need a lot of shit. And now I'm in trouble because he's got a lot of fucking units, and like that was a shitty spread. I should have spread my units a lot better there. I was just hoping that he would like try and be more aggressive with his lurkers. And now I'm down to 1 control group out on the field, and now I'm doing a little bit better job microing them, but I only have a single medic. And now is the point where, you know, even though it appears like right away you're like, shit, I need a micro hardcore here, like what's really important is that you macro. Like, see, I'm like, even though I have a lot of money, I'm keeping 3 marines queued on each barracks, which isn't great, but it helps because I constantly have forces streaming out. And now I'm moving out, like I'm trying to cut off his reinforcements, and he's leapfrogging some lurkers in here, so I'm going to try and, okay, I'm not sure what I was trying to do there, but... And now, like, see, now I'm kind of freaking out because for some reason all those medic marines got sent into his base when that was just supposed to be a containment. But now my science vessels are out, and this is going to be nice. Once those 2 science vessels get energy for radiate, I'm going to be able to take off 2 lurkers or all the Mutalisks, and then I'm going to have 2 more science vessels on the way soon. And now I can start using my scanners for his expansions again. And he's going to try and kill these science vessels. And, like, your first science vessels are so fucking important. You can never lose those. And I'm freaking out right now. Like, I have no idea what this guy's doing. And I'm expecting him to, like, super out-expand me, but he's not. And so now I have enough energy, and I move out, and I radiate 1 of the Mutalisks. And since he wasn't controlling them, I did a lot of damage. I mean, I pretty much eliminated all of his Mutalisks. And now I can macro a bit. And I need to put down a few more barracks and take my expansion here pretty shortly, just because I need to beat up on units. And this is another strange thing, like, this is a really old school build that this guy does, and I didn't really acknowledge it until really this point in the game, but I'm moving out with my force, and now one thing that's really common in me, and that I always do, is I always move out with a large force of units with strong macro, and I just get crushed by something stupid. And then I have to rebuild up and beat whoever I get crushed to. So here I am, 4 science vessels, and there I see a bunch of lurkers, so I'm thinking, okay, he's going to try and do some kind of pincer, so I'm going to move up some science vessels before he has Scourge, and then I look, and he has just a huge force of hydralisks, and he gets a really nice flank on all my marines. Like, this guy has pretty solid control, and now, like, pretty much all my forces are lost, except I still have all my science vessels. But one problem with Hydralisk Lurker, that it's really difficult to break just a bunch of medic marines that are sitting there. Like, if I'm moving out, Hydralisk Lurker is excellent for flanking, because Hydralisks take a lot more damage than Zerglings do, so the Lurkers can get in position. But now, see, I'm like building up a bunch of science vessels, and once again, this is like the strong point in SK Terran, is that you have a shit ton of science vessels, and you need to keep constantly using that for irradiate. And now I'm in a difficult position. Like, I'm not really necessarily losing, but he's got a 3rd expansion, but I have tech out. So I mean, it's a pretty fair trade considering he's going to be sitting on lair. And one thing you always need to remember to do in times like this is constantly upgrade. And there you see I'm scanning the mineral only. Scanning is really important. Scouting information is really important. You need to know on how many bases your opponent is on always. And right now, I'm just kind of like being aggressive here. I'm not going to try and fight him. I basically just moved the medic marines out to escort my science vessels. Like, that wasn't really meant to be an attack. But now, I mean, I have 7 barracks, and my macro has been pretty strong. Like, now I'm kind of building up some minerals, but it really isn't too bad. And now he's going to try and move up some lurkers, but he kind of gets sloppy here. And my medic marine control was actually pretty solid there. But, oh, I lost 2 vessels. That hurt. I mean, I guess I had good medic marine control, but my vessel control was kind of bad. I mean, you can't, like, sacrifice one for the other. You really have to pay attention to both. And against this build, you need to be careful, because Hydralisk can kill vessels actually fairly easy. So, I mean, like, you can't just run in over top of their units and irradiate. And now I'm in a pretty tough position, because I'm only relying on medic marines and science vessels pretty much to break through. And now when I get +2, +1... I'll be able to do a little bit more, but I mean, you see, like, I'm just playing careful right now. Like, I'm just taking pot shots with my science vessels, and like, he's kind of getting antsy here, because like, my macro's still fine. I still have a really nice SCV count. Like, I'm just constantly trying to get good irradiates off, constantly paying attention to my science vessels, and now, like, every, minute or so, my new science vessels come out, and I still have old science vessels that get energy. And there you see, like, I'm constantly just checking for energy, like, seeing. And I build a machine shop on my factory. Mass tank is a very powerful counter to this hydra lurker build, but I didn't know he was going to do it until I already pretty much dedicated to SK Terran. So in late game, you can switch to tank, even with SK Terran, and it's a good idea, but, like, I just built a machine shop just in case. And so now I have 7 science vessels, and pretty much I'm going to have like 4 or 5 irradiates coming up once those 2 come out, and now I get my +2/+1, so now I'm going to go out for a push, and I'm looking, like, you want to be really careful of a flank. Like, if you want to have Korean pro gamer control, like, you just send SCVs everywhere, but when I have the extra scans, I don't really stress out about it too much, and my macro's kind of slipping a little bit. Oh, science vessels, I gotta be careful. Like, you have to watch, and it's really tough for Terran to keep their science vessels alive, but, losing one here and there, it's okay. And I'm trying to be cute and, like, aggro some of them, but now I know his Scourge is gone because my science vessels are out in the open, so I'm just gonna move up. I'm gonna radiate as many lurkers as I can, and you always want to do this right before an attack. If you know he doesn't have any Scourge, you just move up with all your science vessels and just irradiate everything. And now he's in trouble because he only has a few lurkers. He's been relying pretty much on only hydralists. And even though lurkers are really good against medic marines, like, my spread there is really good. I had a really big wall of medic marines, and my macro is pretty much garbage now, just because I don't think I have enough barracks at this point. But I'm concentrating mostly on micro, and I think this is a good decision because he's forced to really macro and micro well. I'm really only need a micro, and I can queue 5 or 6 Marines and medics in one base. And now I built that CC in my base, and I'm going to lift it. And that's, one thing that's awesome that Terran has is you can start your CC before your push and before you're even ready to defend it. And then, like, once it's done, you can push and then move out and then land it right away. And I was kind of late on landing it, but I mean, that's pretty much always a good idea. Like, if your opponent catches you off guard and you're not comfortable to push yet, but you need to get a third soon, always build it in your base and then just lift it off. And now he's hurting because I just killed 2 of his expansions and he just lost a ton of units. And basically, my timing worked out pretty well there. My macro was good. I think it was a little bit better than his. This guy was actually a pretty strong player. I think he had 240 APM, which is kind of funny because he did like an old school Hydraless Lurker build, but really good speed, which you don't see a lot in old school players. And my APM was about 210, I think. But I still think my macro is a little bit better, at least compared to this guy. You see my minerals and gas kind of build up here, and I guess speaking from a player's perspective, when you realize the game is over, you kind of stop trying as hard. Like, you can just watch my hand speed; it's kind of sloppy. But I mean, like, right when I go back and I need a macro, I can do it. And I think I had good timing there. I mean, you saw, like, he had a lot of units and he was kind of positioning to a flank, but at the same time he was taking a lot of bases and upgrading. While right when I pushed out, all my upgrades finished. I had a bunch of science vessels, and I mean, the whole mid game, I was doing damage with my science vessels, but I didn't really lose any. I just kind of used them, and I kept killing his units even though I really wasn't losing any units. And now I'm just kind of taunting him. Like, I had my science vessels above his base, and I'm just kind of like irradiating his lurkers. I guess just kind of prove that he doesn't really have like anything he can do. I guess, like, it seems like a lot of people lately don't GG anymore. Like, they've just been like taking forever, and that's another important thing. Never transfer SCVs if you don't have map control, but like, when you have map control, it's always important to transfer SCVs later on. And I'm just kind of fucking around. Like, I realize like he's done, and I'm just kind of like building up a lot of units. And I just kind of like fuck around with people, I guess, just because, like, I don't know why people stay in the game this long. I mean, if your opponent has 4 bases, like, I can see if you're like really frustrated or it's like a close game but like when you just get rolled over by a push and like you realize it's over, you should probably GG. Like, not to be BM, like, you see I don't talk shit or anything, but it's just kind of strange how people, like, it always seems like Zergs do this the most. I guess because I don't play against Terrans a lot, but I from my experience, Zergs do this a lot more than Protoss. And he set latency, but I don't know. And he W's, which I guess is GG. But anyway, that's the end of that game. I hope you guys got something from that and enjoyed that. And stay tuned for more FPVODs.